Hello, fellow Sudokans, and welcome to Zen and the Art of the Guardian Sudoku Puzzle. It's Monday, the 1st of May, May Day. I'm not calling for help. 2023, and happy International Workers' Day around the world. International Labour Day, if you would prefer that title. A day when people who have to work, because that's really what it is. People have to work. Hopefully get together and in some kind of solidarity and celebrate what they've done, the achievements that they've made. Weirdly, there is one country that does not celebrate May the 1st. The most famous country not to celebrate the 1st of May as Labour Day is, of course, the United States. And so if I ask you which country was it that began the 1st of May as celebrations in 1886, you might not be thinking it was the US, but it was actually America that began the holiday of May the 1st. But later they switched. Maybe they thought it was too communist or something like that, because there certainly were lots of socialist and communist countries that used May the 1st as their day of celebration. And, we now live in a time where inequality is at its worst since the feudal system was the major form of governments across the world, Western world anyway, let's say, and indeed other non-Western places too. Feudal systems existed with great inequality. We seem to have returned to that state where a few people own half the planet's wealth. This is a dreadful state of affairs to be in, and so let's hope there can be more equality, but there won't be if you just sit and wait for it. I'm afraid people who are involved in organized labor need to understand that you can't just sit and wait for it, because it won't happen, unfortunately. People are not nice. They won't often give their wealth away. The super rich, and I've met a few actually. You might think I've never met any really rich people. I have, and I've seen where they live, and I've seen their multi-swimming pools and things like that, and they're quite nice people too. Yeah, they're never going to give it away. They can be mean, really, really mean when it comes to money. It's shockingly mean when it comes to money. Really, really amazingly mean. I've met some of the people that I've met who are so super rich when it comes to money. They'll be counting every coin. So let's hope for... One of the things is that countries, capitalists in particular, have managed to keep workers down by employing xenophobia and this constant protectionism of the nation state. I mean, one thing for socialists is that they ought to be internationally minded. You know, if you ought to be in favor of promoting fellow human beings who are working, they should be anywhere on the planet, but so many people fall into the trap of saying, this thing, yes, they've exported my job to a country which has cheap labor, and I understand that, that can seem a terrible thing. And yes, they ought not to be exporting jobs to places with cheap labor. They ought to be paying the same rates of labor across the planet. I live in a country where rates are much lower. When people often people on the internet often talk about the cost of a Starbucks coffee. For people in Thailand, let's say, the cost of a Starbucks coffee is the same as the cost of a Starbucks coffee in other countries. But I mean, for example, I could actually get a whole day's food from restaurants for the price of a Starbucks coffee. So it doesn't really equate, does it? Anyway, there is one other thing that happens on April the 30th / May the 1st, in particular my case May the 1st now, this morning, is that there's the International Jazz Concert, which is promoted by the United Nations. And this is, if socialists can't get together, and agree on policy etc., etc. Maybe they can get together through music, and human beings, whatever your political views, can get together through music. The international jazz concert organized by Herbie Hancock has already happened, but I haven't seen it yet because it happened while I was asleep in the middle of the night. And so as soon as I finish playing this game, I shall go off to watch it on YouTube. And if you love jazz, I must say that normally it's not the highest standard, but it is always interesting, and at least it promotes jazz. So that's what I've got to look forward to this morning. You have got to look forward to the first game of Sudoku you've ever played, or maybe one that you've never, or a game that you are not particularly skilled at because you haven't played it very often. Newcomers to the channel, welcome. This is Monday, it's our beginner's day. So I will explain the rules of Sudoku to you. And also try to explain about this channel. This channel is not purely Sudoku. This channel is also my kind of blog of anything that interests me. Politics, life, aging, jazz, anything that I feel like chatting about, really. If you know the book that I stole the title of this channel from, well, you might get an idea. So let's now turn to the game of Sudoku. I'm sure you've patiently been saying, get on with it, get on with it. Okay, I will get on with it. Right, how do we play the game of Sudoku? Well, you can see a grid that has 9 squares in each of the rows across here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Look, here's a completely empty row, and here's a row with some numbers in. Numbers, you say? Why do we have numbers? Is it a game of maths? No, I firmly say, nothing to do with maths in its classic form like this. It's purely a game of logic. The numbers are just there to identify, because we can easily see 9 different objects. Numbers just turn out to be the easiest thing. Now, if on this channel you'll find some weird Sudoku played with food and things like that, 9 different types of food. So you could use 9 anythings, but it just so happens that numbers make it far easier to see. Right, there are 9 squares in every column down. Oops, sometimes my mouse skips a square. And there are 9 squares in each of these small 3x3 grids as well that are outlined with these black lines. Okay, what's the game? Well, you can see numbers. The lowest number you can see is 1. The highest number you can see is 9. That's because there are 9 squares. So we fit the numbers 1 to 9 in every row, including ones we jump over with the mouse, every column, and every one of these small 3x3 blocks like this. Some are already filled. Some already have quite a lot of digits, and some have very few. Well, what do? Do I guess? No, you definitely do not guess. Please do not guess the answer to Sudoku. That would defeat the object of the game. So how do we go about finding the answer? Okay, let's say, for example, we have 4 empty squares in this block of 3x3. We've got 1, we've got 7, 6, 5, and 9. So we're looking for all of the other numbers that will complete the series of 1 to 9. For example, we do not yet have a digit 3, and we have the 4 empty squares that I've highlighted in blue. So let's see, we have 3 blocking down here. What do I mean blocking? Well, remember, a digit can only appear in its row or column or block once. So this 3 disallows any 3s anywhere else in this column. This 3 at the top here also does the same thing. So these columns have 3 already, so there can't be any other 3s in these 2 columns. And look over here, we've got 7 in this square already, 5 in this square already. We've got 1 empty square. So we know that the 3 must fit in that square because there's nowhere else for it to go. Help, there is nowhere else for it to go. It must go there. Does that make sense? Now I could continue these 3s, but I'm just going to wait a little bit and look for something else first, and I'll tell you about how I continue the 3s later, I think. Because I want to just show you the super easy stuff first. Right, now here we have another block. Now this block has 7, 3, and 8. Doesn't yet have 5. Why am I choosing 5? Is this random? No, because I've seen this with my own little eyes. I've noticed that the 5s intersect with this block from across here and from down here. So 5 blocks across here like this and 5 blocks across here like this. Also we have the 5 in this column blocking up here. So you see the pattern, you see how your eyes just whiz across up and down, and that's going to give us a 5 in that square there. Do you see how it works now? You've got the idea? Okay, so I think you're on your way to completing your first Sudoku puzzle. I've got stuff that I want to show you, but I don't want to show you just yet. Okay, back to this block down here. Now, what's missing? We've got 1. Do we have 2? No. Do we have 3? Yes. Do we have 4? No. So that's 2 and 4. 6, 7 are there. Do we have 8? No, we don't. So we know that these 3 squares can only be 2, 4, or 8, because that's all we need for the series of 1 to 9. Now, when we see the 8s, we might notice that the 8s block like this. And so we are going to place our 8 in this square here. Now, that means the squares left must contain only 2 or 4. And now we notice that there's a 2 blocking all the way across here. And so we know that the 2 goes there. And now because there is only 1 digit left, we know that the 4 must go there. I hope that makes sense to you. Now, usually when we see a couple of empty squares in a column like this, if we just have like 1 or 2, just 2 or 3 left, not 1, sorry, 2 or 3 empty squares, we should go and examine what's in there. Now, when we look down here, we find what we are missing for this column is 2 and 7. That's what we need to go up here. And so we have to look across here to see if we have any intersecting 2s or 7s, and the answer is no, we don't. But that's okay, because this game is about looking. That's what Sudoku is about. It's about looking for digits. Sometimes you will find something, and sometimes you won't, but you will be disappointed many times. Let me just tell you that. You will often be disappointed when it comes to Sudoku. Because you're looking for something, and then you think you hope you might find something, and you don't. I've seen the next number. Now, I've seen that this block here, we... No, we can't. I've seen something incorrect. Hold off on that idea. I thought I'd seen something, and I had not. And that also happens in Sudoku, is that you sometimes, or especially that happens to me in particular, is that we think we see things and we might not. I can see some things, but I just don't want to tell you what they are at the moment. I want to look for some really the easiest of the easy, since I don't want to turn off any beginners at this stage. But I might end up telling you that anyway. But alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the numbers by clicking on them. Since I'm playing on the computer, I can highlight the numbers and see if I can tell you anything without showing you like more than one step. Because at the moment I can show you some things, but it involves more than one step, and I don't want to do that just yet. In particular, the 3s. We can place a 3 up here, but I won't tell you about that just yet because I'm looking for something else first. This was perfect. There we go. So now we've clicked on the 4s, we can notice a 4 over here and over here. So we can see the 4 blocking across here and across this way. And that is going to put a 4 into that square there. Now, there's only one empty square here, so this is the next place we should go, because we definitely know what goes here. We've got everything in the series except 7. So we know that the 7 must fit there, and that's going to help us, because now we can say 7 across here, 7 up here, and 7 across there. Puts the 7 into that square there. And now in this particular block, I would like you, in this block here, to find the 2. Can you look for the 2? We can definitely find it. So if you understand what I've said so far, you should be able to find the 2. Okay, I think that's long enough. So when I highlight the 2's, you'll see how they intersect. They intersect across here like this and up here like this. So this is the only possibility where a 2 can go. Now we'll take the 2's across. Good idea to use the digit that you just found, this 2 across here and this 2 across here. We have a 2 blocking up there. So that's going to give us a 2 in that square there. Okay, similarly, I'd like you to find the 1 in the empty square, the only empty square where the 1 can go here. And I think you can do this one pretty quickly because they're quite close by and easy to see. 3, 2, 1. Okay, done. Right, 1 blocks up here and 1 blocks across here, so I am sure you found that 1 there. Now we'll take the 1 that we just placed and we'll take the 1 up here, and that will give us digit 1 there. Are you enjoying it yet? Hope so. Hope you're saying, oh yeah, this is quite intriguing, quite interesting. I'm quite fascinated by this game and I wonder if I should play some more. Yes, you should play some more. My goal here is to proselytize people into becoming Sudokans. Not religion. I don't proselytize religion, I only proselytize the game of Sudoku. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a slightly different thing. So I want to try and go forward in a way that will give you a little bit more of an idea of things you can do. So far we've found out about empty squares. Right now here's still an empty square, but let's see how it goes. Now we have 3 empty squares in this block down here, right? Now if we look through, we'll find what's missing is 5, 6 and 9. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 and 8. We don't have 5, 6 or 9. Okay. Now when we look for the 5s, the 6s and the 9s, we find something interesting. We find that the 5 and the 9 are actually in the same column that affects one of our squares down here. So if you think about this, we've got 3 empty squares and we've got 3 numbers that must fill those squares, right? So this square here, by the way, sometimes you'll hear Sudokans call them cells, as in prison cell, as in help, I've been locked in a Sudokan prison for ages and I can't get out. We have 3 possibilities and we ask ourselves, can it be 5? Well, the answer is no, because we have 5 here. Can it be 6? Answer, don't know, maybe. Last question, can it be 9? No, it can't, because we've got 9 in this column already. So if it's not 5 and it's not 9, then it has to be 6. That's the only option left, right? No choice. And now we know that 5 and 9 are in these squares here, and then when we look across we can find an intersecting 9, so we know that the 9 block's over there, so the 9 will go there, and then we can finish off that block with a 5 because we know that the 5 goes there. Where should we go now? I hope you've spotted this empty cell across this row here and are already searching to find which number is missing. I'll give you a few seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, the number that's missing here is 2. We have 1. We don't have a 2 anywhere. We've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. This is a 2. We shall place our 2 here. Okay. Right, now we have again 3 empty squares, so we can find out what goes here, and when we look carefully we find it's 5, 7 and 8. So when we look for our intersecting numbers, we see the 5 here. Is that any help? Well, that's going to mean 5s could be in those squares. The 8, there are no 8s up here, but when it comes to 7, we're lucky because we have 2 intersecting 7s. So 7 blocks down here and 7 blocks down here, so we know that the 7 must be in that square there. And now we are missing only 5 and 8, so this 5 now has become very useful because it blocks down there. So this is our 5 and this is our 8. Hope you are still with me. I think you should be. We haven't done anything particularly difficult yet. Now look, we've got this whole section at the bottom here. By the way, when you see 3 of these blocks together in a line, either across or up like this, the 3 mini grids, we call this a chute, C-H-U-T-E. Now this has quite a useful purpose as well in Sudoku. When you go past the beginner level, it starts to become more useful, seeing that the three grids in a row, 3 blocks in a row like this. Okay, where am I? Okay, I'm going to start clicking through the digits. I don't see anything immediately that I can do that's super easy. I still know that I've got a 3 to place up here. Okay, let me tell you about that. Let me tell you about that right now. Okay, because so the next idea about Sudoku is trying to go more than one step forward and imagining what's going to happen after a particular stage, right? So let's take this. Now we have a 3 blocking across this row. Okay, so we don't have a 3 in this block yet. I'm actually targeting this block up here, but don't worry about that. We'll get to that in a second. First up, you have to understand we have 3 blocking across here. So what does it mean? It means that 3 is going to be either in this square or this square, because this one blocks out all of those 3 squares there, right? Do you agree? So 3 is either here or here. Now, if it's here, then it blocks up there. And if it's this, well, it still blocks up there, right? So it doesn't matter whether the 3 appears in this square or this square. All of these 3 squares are disallowed. Now let's take the 3 that we had down here and say that that blocks to the top. And we've got one across the top here, which blocks across. And so we know that the 3 must be in that square there. Even though we couldn't say which of these squares the 3 appeared in, we do know that we can place our 3 up here. Do you see? It's kind of forward thinking. Now you need to think about the game like that as you move forward. Right, now 3 blocks across here like this, and across here like this, and up here like this. And that will give us a 3 there. So that's a Sudoku technique that you will develop and use a lot once you start playing the game. Let's do it again. All right, so now we have 3 blocking down here. Oh no, I didn't need to actually. I was about to say 3 appears in one of these 2 squares, but actually we can block it from down there. So the 3 will be there. Even if we didn't have this 3 down here, we would have known that 3 blocked across here. If it had appeared in one of these 2 squares, it would have blocked this square here. And so we could have blocked across here and found our 3 in that square, even if we hadn't had this one down here. But as it happens, we did. Now we have 3 in every one of our 9 mini blocks. So digit 3 is now finished. We don't need any more of it. It's done and dusted. Now what we should do is we've got 2 empty squares here, or we've got 2 empty squares in this row. So we should look and see. Let's see this block here. What are we missing? We don't yet have 4 and we don't yet have 8. Now that's useful because we've got an 8 blocking across here. So we know that the 8 is going to be up there, and we know that the 4 is going to be here. And now we only have 1 empty square across here, so we can look for that. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't have a 6. We've got 7, 8, and 9. So this will have to be a 6 in that square. Now there are other ways to play Sudoku. I don't want to pretend that this is the only way, and some people will tell you not to count through numbers and stuff like that, and that's okay, but I think you have to learn the basics of the game first of all. Once you understand the basics, you can find different techniques to play the game and develop your own. Okay, we have 6s intersecting in such a way, and that will give us a 6 right in the middle square of the grid, the entire grid. We don't yet have an 8. 8 is one of our missing numbers here. I think you can find it. Give you just a few seconds to find the 8. Okay. 8 blocks. 8 blocks up here and 8 blocks across here. So we know that the 8 must be in that square there. Now we're missing 4 and 9 for these squares. Can we finish the game off? Or this grid off? This block off? Yes, we can. We've in fact got an intersecting 9 and an intersecting 4, both of them. So the 4 blocks up here and goes there, and that will leave the 9 in that square there. Now there's only one number left to get across here, and it is in fact a 4, so I'll put that in. Excuse me. And the last number for this block you'll see is a 9, but also when you look across this row you'll see it's also a 9. Of course, there is only one answer to each Sudoku puzzle. That means you can find the information in more than one way, which is something that's going to come in handy later on. Now there's one empty square in this column. We've got 1, we've got 2, we've got 3, we've got 4, we've got 5, we've got 6, we've got 7, we've got 8. We have to put 9 here. Okay, now we've also got 9s blocking up these columns, and this one across here, that's going to give us a 9 in that square. And the missing digit here is what is it? See, it takes me a while to find out. If you're wondering why it takes me a while, because I have to look through these puzzles the same as you do. I don't play the games in advance. So that's a 4, and that column is now finished. Now when it comes to 4, we have 4s blocking up here and across here. That's going to give us a 4 there. And now we can take the 4 that we just put in, 4 across here and 4 up here. So we'll place the 4 there. 4 and 3 are finished digits. We have a 4 in every one of our small 3x3 grids. There is one empty square here. This is probably the next place to look. It's because we know we can get it, and we will place a 5 there because that's what we need for the column. Now 5 blocks across here and 5 blocks up here, so that gives us a 5 in that square. Now the 5 blocks this way, 5 blocks this way, and 5 blocks up here. I hope this is not too fast. I've speeded up a little bit because I hope you are kind of au fait with the idea now. If it is, you can always go back and watch it again, replay certain parts that you don't understand. Right, 5 is now finished. There is one empty square in this column. Excuse me, the missing number is a 2. My voice is a bit croaky this morning, that's strange. So now we have 2 blocking up here and 2 across here. That will give us the final digit 2. 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all finished digits. Now, this row at the top here does not yet have digit 1. Now remember, we only have one number in each block, so 1 bans these 2 squares from being a 1. Actually, we have 1 down here, but even if we hadn't, we've got this 1 in these blocking these 2 squares, and so at the end here must be a 1. 1 also blocks across here. That will give us the final digit 1. Missing number here is an 8. We can say 8 blocks across here and 8 blocks across here like this, which will give us 8. There's one number missing here, and it's a 9, so let's put the 9 in there. And now we have everything except for 6 and 7. 6 and 7 are the numbers we don't have. So when we see the 7 blocking up here, we know that the 7 must go here, and that will be a 6 to finish that block. And over here we can see the 6 blocking up here, which will be a 6 there, and that means that that must be a 7. And that is our beginner level game of Sudoku. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you've never played Sudoku before, please try. It's something you have to practice and try for yourself. Don't just watch videos on how to do it. Get stuck in and have a try for yourself. So happy International Jazz Day, happy International Labour Day, and I'll see you for more Sudoku of a more difficult kind if you want to try that out later on. Bye bye.